All right. A very good evening, all of you. Welcome back to yet another session of BBKP Pathshala, where we try to bring such topics for you which might be of use from the exam perspective. So our today's session, as the name suggests, is on CUET. We'll be focusing on the verbal section of CUET pertaining from the point of view of English language. Before I go ahead and introduce the very special guest for the evening, let me just discuss a few things quickly. First of all, the 12th results are out. I hope all of you scored really well for your 12th class. Please, you can mention your scores, your percentage in the comment section so that we know who has scored what, right? Talking about the CUET exam, as we all know, we are just a couple of days away. The CUET exams will begin from 21st of May and they will be continued till 31st of May. So it leaves us for around 10 to 15 days for the last minute preparations. So in our today's session, we are going to focus on the major strategy tips and tricks that you should keep in mind in the last minute of your preparations for the exam. The other exams are also aligned. For example, the IPMAT Indore exam, the IPMAT Rohtak exam, and the JIPMAT exam will also be taking place in the month of May and June. So we'll do a session on that as well. But in our today's session, we're going to focus exclusively on the CUET 2023 exam. If you people have any questions, any queries relating to the CUET exam or the verbal section or the English language section, please feel free to post them in the comment section. Me and the guest tonight will be very, very happy to answer those questions for you. So let me again give you a quick brief about the CUET exam. The CUET exam will consist of 3 sections. The first section is going to be the language. So amongst the 33 languages, the options, you can choose any 1 or 2 languages as per your convenience. The second is going to be the domains section, wherein you can choose the subjects as per your requirement, as per the course that you're wanting to pursue in your graduation. And the third is GT, that is general test, in which you'll get questions from 3 fields. The first is aptitude, second is logical reasoning, and the third is general knowledge or current affairs. So in combination of all the 3 sections, you can choose up to 10 subjects from all the 3 sections, right? So the combination for each student would be different depending on your goal, depending on the courses that you're wanting to pursue after your 12th standard. Let me also remind you that CUET is the gateway to 220 plus universities out there. That includes all the central universities except for the Eastern India and a couple of private universities like MIT, Chitkara, and many more. So this exam holds a very important place in your career, in your professional life. So this session should be really, really useful for you from the exam point of view. Now is the time that I invite the guest for the evening. She is our exclusive verbal faculty at Hitbullseye. She is our verbal maestro. Please welcome Ms. Sheetal. Hi, Sheetal. How are you?
Hello, Vagisha. First of all, I would like to thank you for your warm word and warm welcome. And second of all, I feel fortunate enough to be a part of this session because you know that I've been doing verbal lives for so long. And students often have so many queries. So once the live is over, they have so many queries.
Right.
So I'm hoping to clarify all those doubts in this live, right?
Right. So you are one of the most familiar faces that we have on our CUET Hitbullseye channel. So that is why we thought of inviting you over so that you, with your personalized experience, can help the students, with their preparation.
Pleasure is all mine, Vagisha.
Yeah. So in the meantime that we ask and we answer the questions, you people can write your percentage that you have scored in your 12th class in the comment section so that we get an idea as to where you stand and what your strategy should be for the CUET exam. So Sheetal, now that, like I mentioned, we only have a couple of few days left for the exam. So what according to you should be the mindset of a student right now, the ideal mindset?
Right, Vagisha, first of all, I would like to say no matter what competitive exam it is, in these last few days, like in the last 1 week, first of all, we know that you have to be very composed. Now, this is not the time that you would delve deep into the subject areas, right? So, first thing is, I think they need to brush up all the fundamentals. So, as there are three sections, the first one is their medium, second is the language that they have to select. Then they have to select their domain specific subject, and the last one is GT. Right, and different universities have demanded different combinations of subject. So strategy is going to be a little bit different for everyone. So they have to see and note down that they want to clarify their doubts about the fundamentals. Now there's domain subjects, or they want to work on the GT part because it's very important, or they want to brush up their English first of all. And then I think in these 8 days, what I believe is, let's say a student has selected 4 subjects. So I think he should be doing revision of one subject in one day. Right? Try to wind up. Yeah, you must have made your notes because you've recently given your exam, your CBSE exam, 12th board. So you just have to brush up those notes now, go through those notes. So one day for each subject, and in the last 3 to 4 days, practice giving mocks and see where you are lacking. So I think you may further take up that particular topic.
Right. So it's time to brush up your strengths and get over your weaknesses, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
So I would want to begin by taking the general questions that students have that we are facing with the students that is related to, the admit cards or the slots and everything. Because of course, as we all know, the exam took place for the first time last year, and this time it is taking place for the second time, right? So not a lot of people have clarity. We don't have exact previous year question papers, not a lot of them, just the last year question papers, right? So the people or the students who will be appearing for the exam this year, it is a very different feeling for them, because I believe for some of them, it might be the first competitive exam that they appear in for. Right. So from that point of view, I would want to ask you a couple of questions, and you with your expertise, please, help them out. So,
sure, Vagisha.
So first of all, in how many slots is the CUET exam this year going to take place?
Okay, so last year we saw that there were 2 slots, the morning slot and the evening slot. This time it's going to be 3 slots. So as we saw last year, mostly the language test and the general test was in the morning session, because morning session was the shorter one in comparison to the evening one. So I believe this year also they will keep the morning one short, and the rest of the 2 slots they will keep for the domain subjects.
Okay, all right. And what are going to be the timings for these slots?
Timelines, as in we know that for the section 1 and for the GT part, it is for the GT part it's 60 minutes. For each domain subject it is 45 minutes, and for your English paper or any other language paper you are taking, it's again 45 minutes. So that is the reason I am guessing this, though there has not been any formal kind of information from the samarth.app.in website or any other CUET sources. But I'm guessing this, that because the GT and the English paper will be 45 minutes each, it will be in the morning slot probably.
Right. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. First of all, efficiency rate has scored 87%. It's a good percentage for 12 standard. And there's Hadil who has scored 96%. Very good. Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations. That's wonderful.
Then we have Ryu. He says, ma'am, I am having a little issues with solving direct and indirect speech questions. Can you make a video on this topic? So you have demand for the video. Sheetal.
I would be more than glad to do that. In fact, that's a very nice idea. I'll take that up in the next class. So I've been doing a lot of vocabulary lives because a lot of vocabulary topics are there in the English paper. So we'll do the voices in the next class.
Right, noted. And then Abhidej is saying, ma'am, I didn't get my 12th board results because my board is ICSC. That's all right. You'll get your result. It's not a problem.
See, definitely. Yeah, Vagisha, please.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just saying that you must have filled your CUET form. You have your roll number of the 12th standard. I mean, they also understand that the one board has announced its result doesn't mean that the other one will also. So just wait, your result will also be out.
Okay, so now let's talk about the venue. When is the venue going to be announced for or the city for the exam is going to be announced for the exam?
Okay, so what we get from the official site, it will be after 14th of May. From the 14th and after that date, the
Mhm.
examination centers will be announced, but
Mhm.
the admit card, I believe, will be released 3 days prior to your exam date.
Exam date. Mhm.
Yeah, so I think 14th May and after that.
Yeah. So talking about the admit cards, I think admit card is going to be a source of a lot of information for the students, right? So
Absolutely right.
so
Yeah.
what all information can they get from the admit card? Because there's a lot of hustle bustle around, about the slot timings, about the venue, about
Mhm.
when is which exam, which subject is when, so all that. So what all information will they get from the admit card?
Yes, yes, Vagish. I think you're absolutely right because this exam is one in its type that it has
Mm-hmm.
so many subject combinations to choose
Mm-hmm.
that you're not going to have your exam within one slot or within one day. We're not sure of that. It
Mm-hmm.
depends upon your combination of subject. So you may in fact have different admit cards for different slots. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say the exam will be from 21st May to 31st May. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Probably you will give your GT and your English paper on one day in the first slot. And for some other day, your admit card will also be released for your domain subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And the admit card will give you information about your timings, the time at which you have to report there, the things that you have to carry, you're allowed to carry for the exam, and yes, your venue of the exam.
Right, right. And also in the admit card, you'll also be able to find the instructions, the very important instructions, like Sheetal already mentioned, about what all things, the documents importantly that you're supposed to carry, right? If you're somebody who's belonging to a category, so category certificate you might have to carry with you, the Aadhaar card and so on. So all of that will be mentioned on the admit card itself. Apart from that,
Yes,
also
yes.
COVID guidelines will be there that the students
Yeah, yeah.
follow.
In fact, it is already given on the official website what all they can carry for the
Mhm.
exam.
Mhm.
And yes, and the undertaking also, they have to carry a printout of the undertaking also.
Right, right.
Yeah, apart from that, I think the printout of the admit card, one of their identity card, a
Mhm.
photograph, passport size,
Mhm.
right, and the undertaking. I think that is all they have mentioned, already mentioned.
Right, right. So let's now that we are cleared with the admit card part, and so basically the conclusion is that when you get the admit card, make sure that you read it very carefully, and you are following all the procedures that are written on it. Now, after the admit card, next thing that I would want to talk about is, of course, the difficulty level of the exam. As I mentioned, that we have three sections, right? So and the exam has taken place only once, so we don't really have a lot of things to compare it with. So if we look at the previous year questions, what was the difficulty level of the different sections, and what can we expect in this year?
Okay, this is, I would say, a very tricky question because if we have to see the difficulty level according to the questions they gave, if I talk about the general test and the English paper, or for that matter, even the domain specific subject, questions were relatively of medium level difficulty, you can say.
Okay.
Because I think because it was for the first time that they conducted CUET, they kept the level relatively low. And
Right.
this year, we are expecting it to be a little bit harder than last year. But
Mhm.
the questions were not really direct. A lot of conceptual questions were there from the domain subject.
Right.
And now, talking about the difficulty level, Vagisha, we know that this exam will be conducted on different days in different slots. So,
Mhm.
normalization will also be done for this exam. First of all, they will calculate your percentile. Let's say on the day one in slot one, maximum students have scored really well. But
Mhm.
on the day three, slot two, students could not score that well. So, even
Mhm.
they can see that probably in this first slot, first day, the level was relatively low. So the
Mhm.
normalization will also be done. There is a mathematical formula for that also, and we need not worry about that. So according to that, yeah, they're going to normalize it, the difficulty level of all the slots and all the exams.
Right. And the result is going to be in the percentile format, right?
Yeah, it will be in the percentile.
Yeah, okay. Now talking about the previous year exam. So last year we saw that NTA had released a few sample papers for these students. So should we expect the sample papers this year as well?
Yes, definitely. They should be releasing the sample year this year also, though they are already very late. I mean, some sample papers should have been out already. And
Right.
again, they did it last year probably because students had a lot of confusion because there was no data available, no mock tests available. So we are expecting it to release like in 2-3 days. Probably by Saturday or Sunday, they will release it. So, but yes, again, no sure information is there as of it. So what you can do is you can regularly check the official site of NTA. If there is any sample paper they're about to release, do check it daily.
Right.
So as of yet, there is no sample paper out.
Right. And all the people who are enrolled with Hitbullseye will personalize. We will tell you when the notifications are out. We'll apprise you about the same as soon as it happens. Right. Okay. So let's talk about the courses. Of course, it's a common entrance test for all the courses. So what all courses can a student expect to get admissions into after having qualified for the CUET exam for different universities offering the undergraduate programs?
Okay, so CUET exam, because it has 27 domain subject, it almost covers all the major subjects a student would want to go in or pursue his course in. So, for example, if I talk about the Delhi University, most of the BA courses, be it the honors or the regular BA, BSc courses, BCom, BBA, they are all included under this exam. It's just that I know that already students have filled the form, but it was supposed to be done before filling the form that they had to go to the university website to check what domain subject have they asked for.
Right.
For example, Delhi University has asked for English paper, that like you should have given the English paper, and you should also have had those subjects in your 12th standard which you want to continue in your bachelor's. So
Right.
most of the courses are there under this exam because of the wide variety of the subjects they have in domain area.
Right, true. Okay, so we have some other questions. Okay, so Ryu is saying, I'm scared this time. What if the difficulty will be more and time will take more? I mean, she's basically trying to say, what if the difficulty level is more and she takes more time to answer the question? So that brings me to my next question, because we know that CUET has negative marking. So what tips can you share for time management of the exam?
Okay, so we will talk about the time management also, but let's take Ryu's question first. So I want to break this myth first of all. When the exam level is difficult, you should be very happy because people who have prepared for it will be able to show their expertise in that, how much of hard work they've given into that. If the paper is very easy, the person who has prepared well and the person who did not really prepare will almost score equal, right, Vagisha? You would agree?
Yeah,
and Ryu has been my regular student in all the live session. I am pretty sure you will be able to manage it. And talking about the time management, now when you will be giving your marks, to again take the example of English, let's say there are 3 RCs, always keep a stopwatch with you that I have to complete this RC in 6 to 7 minutes. Make it a habit. Once those 6 minutes are done, you have to stop then and there. When you will keep on doing this, you'll see improvement in your speed. And the paper is completely MCQ based, right? So you don't have to write theories there. Either you know the answer or you don't know it. And the time consuming part is maths. And in your general test, it's not just math. You will get your current affairs, your GK also, your analytical reasoning, your quant reasoning. So there are other areas. I believe max to max 5 to 6 questions will be from the maths, wherein you need time and need calculation and all that. So I think that is manageable. That won't be really that difficult.
Right. And okay, so let's take up the next question now. So we have, Ma'am, please share some tips for reading comprehension. We'll get to the verbal part in a while, right? I would want to discuss the general aspect once, and then we'll talk about verbal only, the entire for the rest of
all the question types.
uh, okay, so there's another person, Abhi Tej, who's asking, total, ma'am, how many questions will be there in the CVT exam?
Okay, so it depends upon the section, the exam of which you're giving. If you're giving your section 1, which is your language part, you'll have 50 questions and you just have to do 40. So again, strategizing, they're giving you such a wonderful option that you can skip 10 questions. Out of 50, you have to do 40, for which you get 45 minutes. And for your subject specific area, you have to do 35 questions out of 40 questions.
Right.
And for the general test, you have to do 50 questions out of 60 questions.
Right. So as we know that CVT, like I mentioned earlier as well in the session, that CVT is going to be the gateway to 20 plus universities. So now once the CVT exam is done, Sheetal, what will be the further procedure for admissions to, let's say, for Delhi University or for Banaras Hindu University? What's going to be the next step after the CVT exam?
All right. So first of all, we need to understand that though now the importance of 12th standard exam has reduced a little bit because of the CUET exam. So Delhi University is only going to consider your CUET score to give you admission into their colleges, right? And when we are talking about the criteria of the admission process, we first of all need to understand there are so many universities under CUET. They are going to have their individual criteria. So I am going to take one example. Let's take example of Delhi University, and I'm going to divide it into 3 steps. So your first step is registration. So when you registered your CUET exam, you must have selected your colleges or universities of preference, right? Your second step will be you have to select the courses. So you have to go on CSAS website of Delhi University, which is seat allocation system for them, common seat allocation system. Yeah, so you have to go on CSAS, and therein you have to read first of all the information and fill the form there and put your preferences. For example, there are so many colleges under Delhi University. There is Sri Ram College, Miranda House, Hindu College. So you have to see which college you want to go in, and in the right order, choose your preferences first of all. The third step will be seat allocation. For example, you have applied for different colleges looking at your scorecard that you have uploaded. In the second step, after the result is out, they will see your result and they will allocate the seats to you and the colleges to you. So these are the 3 steps for Delhi University.
Right. So similarly, once the CVT exam is done, you'll have to register yourself for the desired college or the university that you want to get admissions into, and then
upload the scorecard.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now let's talk about the sections, beginning with the verbal English. So the people who have chosen English medium as well as English as a language for the exam. So first of all, what should they do now? 10 days before the exam, what should be their mindset? Should they be reading a lot of books, or should they just practice RCs? What should they be doing now?
Yes. So again, coming to the same point, this preparation for 8 days, as I already told you, keep one subject for 1 day for revision. Now we have to think about the GT and the English. And English, we all know, is one such subject you cannot master like in 7-8 days. So I am not going to tell you to keep on doing the English and the RCs throughout. Keep on learning as many words as you can, because we all know that there is a sea of words and we're never sure which word we will get in the exam. But as I saw the last year paper, be it the idioms and phrases, be it one word substitution, be it antonym and synonym, they were quite common ones. So daily in the morning, you can keep 1 hour for your practice of English. Simply solve 2 RCs and try to do some of the questions of antonyms and synonym, and you can simply Google most important or most used one word substitution, most used idioms and phrases, and I'm pretty sure you will be very close to not getting one such question you have no idea about. So this is the first thing, right? This is how your preparation should go. Make a timetable, divide your time that in the morning 1 hour I'll give to the English and I'll keep it aside. Then I will revise my domain subject. In the evening I will do a bit of general test.
Right, right. And I believe this strategy could vary from person to person, right? Everybody has to do it as per their portions of strengths and
Yeah,
weaknesses, right?
very
Okay,
true, very true.
right. So now, specifically talking about RCs, what should be the general rule of solving in RC? Because, like,
Mhm.
I remember when I was in 12th class and we used to have these RCs because I had English as a subject. So, at times, like, what my thing used to be, if there's an RC which is not of my interest, because I was from commerce stream, so let's say that there's an RC from biology or something, I then and there would lose an interest because it's not something that I like, you know. So generally, when you're solving an RC, how should a student go about solving it? What should be the process? Let's put it that way to solve an RC.
Absolutely right. So, Vagisha, as you said, you were from commerce and you would get a biology RC, you would be
Right,
least interested in doing that.
right.
Right. But I would not suggest you guys to altogether skip the passage. So,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, there will be three type of RCs: narrative, literary, and based on the fiction, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to based on the facts. Sorry. So, if it is a factual one and you are from commerce or science background, you will really enjoy it. Let's say if it is from literature, there will be a lot of figurative language used over there, a lot of imagery would be there. So you just have to understand not everything written in this literary passage is to be taken literally, basically. It's
Right,
figurative, right?
right.
So now talking about the approach, all the questions in English, they have a different approach. When you're approaching a passage,
Mm-hmm.
the 2-3 minutes will be in understanding the passage. Try to keep yourself very much dedicated towards that. Don't get distracted while reading it. Don't regress, right? Don't be fixated to certain idea which probably you saw in the first line, and though you have completed reading the passage and you're still thinking about that first line.
Mm-hmm.
So just be focused on what is there in front of you, what you are reading. What I always do while doing a passage, no matter how difficult it is I would break it into pieces. I will make a structure while reading it, and I'll simply tell myself that, okay, Sheetal, in the first passage, he simply introduced you to the thing he's going to talk about. In the second passage, he's talking about the pros of that. In the third, he's talking about the cons, and he's finally concluded it. Because if you read it in a structured way while doing the answers, even if you have to go back to certain facts, you will at least remember where that fact was. So it
Right.
saves a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And every time you do a passage, try to tell yourself that, okay, can I suffice this whole passage in like one sentence or two sentences? That will be your main idea, taking out the gist of the
Right,
whole passage. So that
right.
will help you with a lot of questions of English. The questions that are not direct or fact based, if you know the main idea, you would know which of the option goes along the passage, which goes against the passage, which option would author least likely be to favor, and all that. So this should be the strategy, and try to wind up each passage in 6 to 7 minutes, I would say.
Right, right. Okay. Now, a common way of attempting questions that I've seen with students is either they read the questions first and then they go to, you know, the passage and then look for the answer. They might take up keywords and then look for the keywords in the passage. Or the second way is that when they read the entire passage and then they go back to the questions and they attempt it. So is it necessary to follow either of these two, or the way that you said can also work, right? So what is
Yes,
what?
yes.
Mhm.
Vagisha, you raised a very nice question. So, first of all, there is no such ideal way because it depends upon person to person how he likes to do it. So,
Mhm.
yes, I have seen a lot of students strategizing their approach to RC. First of all, they'll quickly see the questions, what the questions are about, so that when they are reading the passage, they are more focused on only on those points.
Mhm.
So while you will be giving your mocks, try to do it by both the ways. First reading the passage, then approaching the question. And the second way, quickly going through the question and then reading the passage, and then see what works best for you. Trust me, there is no such one ideal way for that. And I would like to add one more thing here. If you've read a passage, you've devoted your time in reading that, and you're doing the questions, you've done 6 questions and you're really confused about the sixth one, do not take a risk. We all know that there is a if your answer is correct, it will be +5. But what if it turns out to be wrong? It won't just be -1. To give you an example, so 40 questions and 5 marks for each. So in total, 200 questions. Let's say your 40th question is wrong. So it will not be 199, it will go 194. You will lose 5 marks, -1. So it's a lot. It makes a lot of difference. So even if you've given a lot of energy into reading that passage, if you're not sure about any one question, skip it.
So accuracy is the key here. Of course, for any exam that is negative marking, accuracy is always very, very important. Unless you're not 100% sure about the answer of a particular question, you must skip it rather than just simply losing marks because of it, right?
Very, very true.
Okay, so apart from the comprehension type of questions or the RC questions, what are the other type of questions that a student can get in the English section?
Okay, so we usually divide this English paper, any English paper, into 3 categories. Same goes for the CUET exam also. First is the reading comprehension, not just the passages, but the question which have, again, the same nature. Their orientation is that of reading only, comprehension only. Second category is vocabulary, from which we saw a lot of questions in the CUET exam. Third category is your grammar. So the question type that we saw in the exam were RC questions, sentence rearrangement questions. So sentence rearrangement, it's again one excerpt, the sentences of which have been jumbled. So again, you have to understand the whole story behind it, and then you have to guess the flow of thought of that particular passage. You have to arrange them in the right order so that it makes a coherent paragraph. So these two are of reading comprehension nature, these two questions. In your vocabulary question, you had antonyms and synonyms, you had your one-word substitution, your idioms and phrases, and the analogy question. So there are a lot of ways. See, one, you either know the word or you don't know it. Even if you do not know, there are certain ways to do it. Try to break the word into the root words, and you will be very close to guessing the meaning of that word. Right. To give you an example, if there is a word philanthropy in the exam, we do not know the meaning of the philanthropy, but or there is a word which is anthropology. Again, we do not know the meaning of it. Break it into anthrop and logy. We know what biology is, sociology is. So that logy root word is for study of something. Anthrop is related to mankind. So you will be very close to guessing the right meaning. So there are different ways of guessing the right meaning, though you have to study as much as you can in this time period. And same goes for the analogy question. The strategy for analogy question will be, first of all, in analogy question, you get a pair of words in which there is some kind of relationship between those two words. So first of all, you have to decode that relationship. For example, chair is to furniture. So chair is to furniture. If I name chair A and furniture B, I would say A is a type of B. While if it is chair is to table, they are complementary pair. So A is complementary to B. Decode this relationship. It's the most important step for analogy question. And there will be 4 questions from analogy. And then look for all the option and see which pair can fit there in the same way as was the pair of the question. So this is how you do the vocabulary part. And last one is grammar, in which you will get either your fill in the blanks, or find the sentence which has an error, or find the part of one sentence which has an error. There are different ways of asking grammar question. Even if it is fill in the blank, you just simply have to guess what word should come there in that blank. The one word will be omitted. So look for the grammatical structure also, that the sense should not be distorted. Let's say we have to fit an adverb there and you are fitting a noun there. How would that be correct? Right? So just look at that the grammatical sense should not be distorted. And again, for the sentence correction type of question, a sentence can be broken into 4 pieces, A, B, C, D. You just have to identify the part which has some grammatical anomaly. Read the sentence once. There are some ways of guessing what all errors are there in these questions. So simply take up the last year paper, jot down the areas from which you usually see the grammar question. Let's say it's subject verb agreement, let's say it's subject pronoun agreement, it's tenses, parallelism, and all that. So this is the strategy of all the different type of questions in vocabulary or this grammar.
Right. So whenever it's a general suggestion that people, or for that matter, even the faculty or teachers give, is if somebody wants to work on their vocabulary or brush up their vocabulary, they should take up reading. They say that reading would help with the vocabulary aspect. So do you think reading is actually helpful? And if yes, so what kind of books should a person or a student begin with reading?
This is very true, Vagisha. I believe reading, in fact, is the only thing that leads you towards the right direction in learning, be it the words or be it the language, be it different sentence structures. See, if you will go by the word list, you need to have some context to remember those words. It will become tricky to simply, mug up those words if they are given in a list. But if you are reading something, there is a story, there is a situation. So you will understand the context. You will guess the meaning of the new words by taking hints from the context. So a lot of mind juggling will be there, right? And then cross-check the meaning of that word from the dictionary, how correct you were or how close you were to guess the right meaning. So yes, reading is very important. The reason I did not mention reading here is because we are left with 7 to 8 days now. True. If you will start reading a novel, more or less it will have same kind of vocabulary. Let's say the novel is somehow related to psychology. It will have all the psychology jargon only. So now is not the time that you should pick up a novel or something like that. What you can do is you can read short passages or articles from any site. So there are ample sites available. You can see some of the short articles, the most important articles, or you can go for the editorials, and from there you will be improving your vocabulary. But don't go for a lengthy book at this point of time. In general, if you want to improve your vocabulary, then definitely you can do that.
Right. Okay. Let's look into the comments now. So yeah. So there's Kulwant asking, so are we expecting short RCs or long RCs? The length.
I think the length will be medium only. It won't be really short and lengthy because we do not judge a particular RC to be difficult if it's lengthy, because the language may be relatively very easy. The questions might be very easy, might be very understandable, right? So I saw paper of all the 3 slots from the last year, and I felt that passages were of medium length. Neither were they too short nor too long, but the language was relatively understandable. So we are expecting the same this time also. It's one such exam you give after your 12th standard. So it won't be that difficult that they would give you CAT level of passages, GMAT level of passages. I think it will be somewhere, medium level passages, medium length.
Okay, so this we've already answered. What is the best option other than Delhi University according to you, ma'am?
According to me, well, I would name so many universities. Universities. It depends upon students to students. So what you can do is go on the NIRF website and see the ranking of the colleges. I think that is first, you see the ranking of the colleges. Second, then you see your preference of the area. For example, there is a student from the north would want to go for BHU, JNU, DU. He would not want to go for the South University, but again, it's a personal choice. There would be people who would want to go, right? So, but the standard criteria is looking for the NIRF ranking of that university.
Right. And also it would also depend on the kind of courses that you're targeting, right? For example, if somebody is looking for BCom honors under Delhi University, so there are certain colleges that would provide you with that particular course.
The student would want to go for Sri Ram then, right?
So it depends on a lot of things. It depends most importantly on your score, on your CUET score, on the criteria of the university that you are wanting to, and then of course the course that you're going to enroll.
So had I been the one who had to give the CUET exam, let's say I am from the humanities background, I think I would like to go for Miranda House or Hindu College probably, because we know that they are known for their humanities faculty. So you have to see what is your preference, your subjects, and then look for the best colleges.
Right, true. Okay, so there's another question, ma'am. When will you take the next live class for English?
So I think they're yet not done with the English classes, English lives. So
The most common question that we get. So basically, I always say that English is like aloo. You can find it in any vegetable. Similar, you can find English.
gels with every vegetable.
So
True.
most of the people tend to find English as a difficult exam because it's technical also. It requires your, memorizing power also, and a lot of things. It's very, and most importantly,
True.
it's something that you cannot learn. It's something that you have to practice. You can't. It's not like a formula. Ki ratta maar liya, yaad ho gaya. It's not like that. You'll
True.
have to practice. So that's why.
True, true. On the contrary, I believe it comes very naturally. If you have a flair for that, for reading, if you get that adrenaline rush by looking at the new words, you're trying to speak them, use them in your language, it's going to come naturally then. First of all, don't take it as a burden that it's
Yeah, yeah.
right.
But then it's not the same for everyone. No, not everybody is like at least 70% of people that are not very keen readers, they're not too much into reading. So it also depends on the interest that students have. So some of them just take English
Hmm.
as a language, as a subject. Ki haan, pass karna hai, you get admission chahiye that way. So not everybody
That
has
is
a
very true.
genuine interest in it. Right.
So
Okay.
we are a generation of instant gratification. Who goes for reading books now, right?
Right. Okay, so now that we are done with the English, let's talk quick tips about the domain subjects. Of course, that's not our expertise here, but then generally, because I feel a general strategy can work over on any section or any exam that you're appearing for. So, what should be a general strategy for domains according to you?
Yes, very right. So yes, it's English is common for everyone, GT is common for everyone, but eventually
Mhm.
what is your score in your subject matters a lot. It shows
Right.
how much of expertise you've got in that subject.
Mm-hmm.
So again, let's say you have selected three of the subjects, specific subjects. So try to take your NCRTs or your notes, your handwritten notes. You must have jotted down points. Just quickly go through those points and do not ignore your domain specific subjects at this point of time. You must be thinking that we've recently given the exams, the CBSE exam, and we already know everything. But trust me, there is a lot of syllabus. And when we are not into practicing and not revising, it skips off our mind. And just quickly go through it all. And trust me, when you will see the question there with the option, so you will definitely remember the right answer. We worry a lot that there is this bulk of syllabus to learn, a bulk of things to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you have seen it once and you see it with the options in the exam, it will click your mind and you will definitely be able to do that.
True. So, like you mentioned, that the syllabus for the CUET exam is absolutely similar to what you have read in your NCRT books and in your, 12th standard. What, according to you, is the difference between both of them? Apart from obviously that the exam is going to be the MCQ format and the 12th standard boards were in the subjective format. Apart from that, what are the other major differences according to you?
So one difference in one thing that I hear a lot from students who gave the CUET exam last year, they've recently given their 12th standard exam, but the questions were from 11th also.
Okay.
So yeah, so that is one thing I think you have to focus. The main focus again should be on your 12th class NCRT, but apart from that, I think you could quickly see you can quickly see your 11th class syllabus also, or simply search for MCQs. At this point of time, you will find ample mock tests available. Try to cover up the mock tests, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we prepare it for the board exam, we do it from a different perspective of the subjective question. But now you just have to remember the facts, just
Mm-hmm.
understand the concept. So even if the question is based on the concept, you will be able to answer that if the base is clear.
Right. True. Absolutely true. Okay, so another one, Sheetal ma'am, last minute tips for spelling questions, please.
For the spelling questions,
Hmm.
okay. So for the spelling, if you would have practiced or seen enough word, you would understand that too many consonants do not come together. And I have seen this in so many spelling questions. They would put absurd consonants with each other. We won't be able to pronounce it. So there will be vowels between certain consonants. And I think that is one tip that can help you.
Right. So, Kulwant, I hope that helps. Kulwant is another question. Also, a silly question. He's labeling his own question silly.
Okay.
Shall I read the passage first or the questions?
All right. So, Kulwant, I believe if you think that your speed of doing the reading comprehension is relatively slow, then I believe you should do the comprehension reading first and then the question. If you think that you do it very quickly, then I think quickly go through the questions. Don't devote a lot of time on reading the questions. Quickly go
Mhm.
through the question just to pick up the phrases and the keywords and then read the passage. Try doing both, right? And then you will be better able to select which way you should go. So
Right.
I usually do it. I quickly see the question first and then I read the passage.
Right. And I also feel the first reading passage first would work better for somebody who has a better retaining power, who can memorize, information for a longer period of time. It'll be easier for them. Right. For others
Right.
who don't think that so they should go with the question part first and then attempt the passage, right?
Some people like to see the clear picture first and then they would, devote their energy into reading that passage.
ये होगा भी कि नहीं मिल भी जाएंगे आंसर्स.
True. अगर दोबारा आपको वो passage पढ़ना पड़े, then it becomes very tricky.
Very tricky, right? Okay, now talking about the last section, that's GT, general test, as I mentioned earlier as well, that in GT you're going to get questions from three fields. First is aptitude, second is logical reasoning, and third is general knowledge or current affairs. So let's begin with current affairs. How can they prepare for that particular portion? The general tip.
I think in these 7-8 days, what you can do is you can refer to any YouTube video or any such source or any magazine that gives you current affairs of the last 6 months.
Mhm.
And I think your focus more on the awards, you can say, or different kind of positions that have been given to people, and the national, international events, and the yeah, I think that would be it, because this is not the time that you can do each and everything. So quickly see
True.
the events that we have recently seen and the awards people have received
True.
recently. And for the GK, I think about the states, about their capitals and rivers, so different national parks. So doing that will help you greatly for this exam.
Right. So also for the GK and the current affairs part, we have done videos and sessions on that you can find on our Hitbullseye channel, the other channel by the name Hitbullseye. So we have done it with the
Yeah, very useful. They are very useful. So it will be like a 20-25 minute video. You'll fast forward it and you'll get to know what all has happened in this last 1 week. So if you want to
Mhm.
save time, you can see Manish sir's video. He makes our GK videos. And we
Yeah,
podcast also.
yeah,
So
podcast.
while you are commuting to some place or you're doing anything, you just want to listen it, just put
Yeah,
on your headphones and you can listen to the podcast of GK.
yeah. So both of these sessions as well as the podcast, they go by the name Bulldoze. So you can check them out. They're available. The podcasts are available on the leading streaming channels like Spotify, Amazon Music, and the videos will be available on the YouTube Hitbullseye YouTube channel. Apart from that, we've also done a strategy sessions of Big Ki Pathshala only that also you can find on Hitbullseye's official channel as well. So you can check them out as well, just in case you want in-depth information about that. Now talking about the aptitude and the logical reasoning part. So suggestions for that, Sheetal.
Okay, so for in this one, in general test, you won't get your verbal reasoning. It will be mostly analytical reasoning and quant reasoning. So
Okay.
don't have this fear of quant, first of all, because there won't be many questions based on quant. In analytical reasoning, again, you may get number series, you may get figure series. A lot of Venn diagram questions were seen last time. Sitting arrangement was seen. Blood relation questions were seen. So you may note down these particular topic and see and solve some of the questions related to these. You can easily find these questions anywhere. So yeah, this was about the aptitude part. And in your maths, again, basic knowledge till your 8th standard is checking of your arithmetic, of your mensurations, your algebra. So I think it's manageable.
Right. And also a quick reminder, guys, if you're liking this video, if you're liking, the gyan that you are giving in this video, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel so to more such content in future. So I would want to cover the last topic for the evening, Sheetal, that is mocks. I mean, whatever sessions that I have done so far, I have especially kept a separate section where we talk about the relevance of mocks, the importance of mocks, because I personally feel the most common mistake that majority of aspirants, for irrespective of what exam that they're preparing for, make is that they don't appear for mocks, or they start taking mocks a week or 2 weeks or a month prior to the exam, which I think is the biggest mistake. So please enlighten us about the relevance and importance of taking mocks.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Vagisha. So no matter how much of syllabus you can devour till the last date of the exam, but if you're not giving mocks, you will basically not be triggering your mind. You'll not be questioning your mind. So it won't be of great help. I too have given some of the competitive exam, and it's time interested, I would say, that covering up syllabus is one thing and giving mocks is another thing, which is very important. See, let's say you are covering up 100% syllabus. You never know what kind of questions are going to come there, right? So it's not about doing each and everything. It's about your approach, about your strategy, about how mentally, psychologically prepared you are to anticipate to the difficulty level and to go through it. So just to prepare yourself, so that you're not nervous on the final day, on the D-Day, it's important that you go through that fear now itself. So it's very important, give different marks, because you will see different kind of difficulty that you come across, and you will be working on that. So that's very important.
Right. So we have last 5 minutes left for the session, guys. If you still have any questions regarding the exam, regarding the strategy, regarding the tips for the preparation, please comment it right away. Me and Sheetal will be more than happy to help you out with that. Right. So Sheetal, as we are almost towards the end of the session, what would be your last minute enlightening words for the students or the people who will be appearing for the exam on from 21st of May onwards? The last words from your side, please.
Okay, so I've been a student myself, so I can understand that being anxious is very normal. But there is a very thin thread, I would say, between being dedicated and being anxious. So it's very important that you take your proper sleep, you divide your hours properly into which all subjects you have to revise. Keep your mental peace. Try to stay away from the distractions. So anything that can trigger you emotionally, don't go towards that. I mean, it's just a matter of 8 days. We can't be that selfish. You can give yourself those 8 days. So yes, anything that helps you to refresh yourself, to refresh your mind, like you may listen to some of your favorite song, you can go for a half an hour walk. That's all very important. And then come back to your study and do it with full energy. So last minute tips are, try to channelize all your energies in the right direction at this point of time. Keep an optimistic kind of approach. This is not going to be the end of the world. Just keep your faith in yourself. Keep on revising, and I am sure when you will see the options, it will all come again to your mind and you will be able to do that. Just take care of your health, your mental health, your physical health at this point of time.
Right. Thank you so much, Sheetal, for your information. And just an announcement, we will be rather planning for a marathon next week for the CVT exam. So all of you can be a part of it. Of course, you'll be apprised about it as soon as we have it planned. And also, Sheetal will be doing 1 or 2 lives also before the exam for English. Don't worry, we're going to have 2 more sessions.
We will definitely do that.
So during those sessions as well, if you have any other queries, you can comment it, ask about it in the comment section, and then Sheetal here will be able to help you out. Right? Thank you so much, Sheetal. I don't see any other questions. Right. Thank you so much for your valuable time and valuable information for that matter. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Right? No, Vagisha, pleasure is all mine. I mean, if we are able to help students in any way, what else would be better than that, right?
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Vagisha.
And all you people out there, if you liked the video, please press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and still if there's certain questions, queries left that you could not ask or did not come to your mind, please feel free to post them in the comment section and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend and all the best for your exams. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.